So, you decided to make a Slinza deck. Nice. Hello everyone and welcome back to Affinity for Commander, and yes, it is finally here. Do you know how long I have waited for this commander? They teased a Beast Kindred legendary creature all the way back in 2013. Some people at our LGS weren't even born then. I waited so long for a Beast commander, and no, you don't count. And finally, with Foundation's Jumpstart, he has arrived. Slinza, the spiked Stampede, and they are an absolute beast. Just before we get on to that though, as always, if you like any of the cards you see here, then be sure to make your purchase through our lovely affiliate links in the description box below. It doesn't cost you anything extra, but helps channel out quite a lot. Also, all prices you see here today are provided by the fabulous sponsor of our channel, the amazing cardmarket.com. Now, let's take a look at our beautiful beast. Slinza the Spiked Stampede is a 5/5 legendary beast for 4 generic mana and 1 green. He reads, beast spells you cast cost 2 generic less to cast, and each other beast you control enters with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. And finally, whenever Slinza or another creature with power 4 or greater enters, you may pay 1 generic and 1 red or green mana. When you do, Slinza fights target creature you don't control. My god, he's beautiful. I've been staring at him for hours. But in all seriousness, the cost reduction from Slinza's effect means we get to be super greedy with our mana curve, playing slightly higher than we normally would. And that additional text of giving every beast a +1/+1 counter is lovely for that big hitty theme that we're going for. And we get to sprinkle in some +1/+1 counter synergies along the way. Now, I'm not going to be making it an entirely +1/+1 counter deck because I want it to be that Beast Kindred deck and not just have it devolve into, gruel +1/+1 counters. Starting off at 1 CMC, we've got Llanowar Elves and Elvish Mystic. Not beasts, I know, but will help us ramp into our commander earlier than normal. And Swarm Shambler, a 1 mana beast that with Slinza's counter ability essentially gives us a 1/1 whenever one of our beasts gets targeted. Now up to the 2 drops, and we're primarily here for the ramp because we need Slinza out immediately, so then the beasts in our deck become, semi-reasonably mana costed. Armored Scrapgorger is Graveyard Hate plus ramp, so winning on 2 fronts. Fanatic of Ruinous is just simply great early and really great later to help cast some of our bigger spells. And Goblin Anarchomancer reduces all our spells by 1 generic mana. For land ramp, we're also running 3 visits, Nature's Law, as well as an Emerald Medallion, made rather cheap thanks to recent reprintings. And considering that our color pie breaks down to look like this, it's safe to say we are a green deck very much splashing red. Masked Vandal counts as a beast and is a card you really want to be playing a little bit later on to be able to trigger his exiling ability. We've also got Heroic Intervention to keep our bestial commander safe, and then Team of Battle Rage to make sure our opponents are in fact not. Now up to the 3 CMCs of the deck, and if this graph is anything to go by, it's the bulk of the deck. Bloated Contaminator to proliferate the +1/+1 counters Slinza is handing out, Bloodline Pretender for an additional +1/+1 counter, and Garrick's Harbinger for card draw, and is just a solid card. Krosan Warchief is one of our true bits of kindred synergy, but we take what we can get in cost reduction and on-demand regenerate. Manglehorn is a great card that destroys artifacts and puts any silly Lotus Petal combos right in their place. The bin, if that was unclear. Miglor's Maze Crusher is... okay, well honestly, it does a lot. It can hit super hard, or just serves more artifact and enchantment hate. Honestly, did not realize Phyrexia had just so many beasts. Realm Walker, whilst an honorary beast, is still a nice bit of card advantage. Renegade Krasis is hopefully going to be evolving as our bigger beasts come in, and buffing them all with more counters. And the last beast at 3 is again honorary, but Tauren Mauler is going to quickly turn to a big problem for our opponents, especially when it gets given trample. The last two creatures in general are Selvala, because if we don't have the biggest creature on board, something's gone terribly wrong, and Wirewood Savage, again of only one of the few Beast Kindred cards, and it's card advantage, so I am not complaining. Speaking of card draw, Garruk's Uprising gives us a great draw for any of our big creatures entering, and also grants the important keyword, Trample. Rhythm of the Wild is another useful enchantment to either make our creatures super big or gain haste. It'll mostly be the haste, but the options are nice. The last two cards are Kodama's Reach for that last bit of land ramp, and Inspiring Call. With Slinza giving all our creatures counters, having a 3 mana save your board and draw spell is just honestly too good to pass up. Now, up to 4 CMC, and this is where the beasts start coming in thick and fast. Anara, Wolvid Familiar, grants our commander Indestructible, which, considering he's going to be fighting every other creature on the board, this seems like a good idea. Beast Whisperer is a very great Vorthos themed card, and is still unparalleled when it comes to drawing in a creature deck, and whilst we do have our beast-specific version, having them both is, not bad. Herald of Ilhag from the start is just an alright 4/4 trample if Slinza's out. But then it becomes deal 4 damage to each opponent on each creature cast, and oh by the way, let me hit you with a 7/7 for Trampler real quick, all for 2 mana. Kona Rescue Beastie, that I have been referring to as Kona Rescue Bestie this entire time, is there to hopefully live through one combat, as we have no other way of tapping them, so that we can then put a massive fat beast into play directly. And another legend is Neith of the Dire Hunt, a great effect for drawing, especially with our commander's ability. And her second ability is also great for forcing bad blockers, and just clearing the path for our real attackers to get in. The last 3 cards here are more beasts. Ravenous Baloth lets us get a bit of life gain if the blockers are indeed real, or if there's removal. And honestly, I'd rather turn the big beasts into life than just letting them get destroyed. Spellbreaker Behemoth is great to answer any control decks, and to make sure our game enders are hitting the battlefield. Now up to the 5 mana cards, and honestly with Slinza's ability, being able to cast 2 of these guys for 6 mana is going to feel so good. Molder Slug is a hilarious way to get rid of people's soul rings, signets, or if they have that single altar of the brood out. Nylea's Forerunner is literally here to give the big ones trample for 3 mana and be a powerhouse common. And Perennial Behemoth lets us play the few fetched lands from our bin to keep running through and grabbing every fetchable land from our decks. Remember kids, deck thinning is deck winning. Quartzwood Crusher is an amazing payoff for running cards like Nylea's Forerunner and Garruk's Uprising, as he just starts getting more and more tramply boys out. Especially if we get him out for 3 mana, perhaps with haste. Now onto the non-creature spells, and Chandra's Ignition is just a great sweeper that should leave our important creatures alone given the big booties and the extra toughness Slinza will be giving them. And Return of the Wildspeaker and Shamanic Revelations will both draw us cards, with each giving a different spin with instant speed and potential combat trick, or just getting us a boatload of life. Now onto the tippity top of the curve, and don't be scared by the high mana value. Remember, they should all be costing 2 generic less. Gliss's Retriever is here to hit each player in turn, and either make them block so they don't die to poison counters, or kill it so we get back fallen beasts to our hand. Palioth is also good recursion, as it essentially turns all our creatures into a creature-based Eternal Witness. Rampaging Bales is probably the most obvious card in the deck, with Trample, the beast typing, and being able to play a land and keep mana up for Slinza to fight multiple small creatures. Thunderfoot Baloth is here for a +2 Anthem effect and Trample for hopefully 4 mana. Woodland Bellower is mainly here to grab the Savage for card draw, or the Manglehorn if we're up against a particularly annoying artifact deck. And Altanak, the thrice called, is both a massive beater that can't be targeted without being a 2-for-1, and has a lovely ability to be able to grab us a land back and essentially ramp us if we draw it too early. Last few of our big hitters in core of the pack to make sure no one is left out with a Myriad trigger. Garruk's Horde for some potential card advantage in just playing from the top. Garruk's Rage Beast for more fighting action in just being able to clear the board. Honestly, who needs removal spells? Ravenous Gigantotherium will hopefully be entering with a good number of counters through us sacking our lower powered creatures so they can then serve as a semi-board wipe if its power is high enough. Siege Behemoth is just one of those game-ending cards that says, yes, I might lose some creatures to this swing, but it might just kill an opponent. And Titanoth Rex is honestly way more here for the combat trick of giving trample and drawing a card with its cycling ability. But, you know, if we've got nothing else to do for 7 mana and 11/11 with trample that ends with a +1/+1 counter isn't exactly terrible. And of course we are running Protean Hulk. Not for any combos, but it's a beast, and grabbing our Savage and Selvala doesn't sound like a bad time to me, as we can ramp and draw cards from using that green mana. Now, on to the lands for this deck, and there are a few special ones. Contested Cliffs is our Beast Kindred card, where for 2 mana we get to fight something. Kessig Wolf Run makes us holding up open mana during the combat step super scary, and Skrog the Rage Pits gives a little buff and more importantly trample to a creature when someone thinks they can just chump block and not take a ton of damage. Overall, Slinza is the beast commander that I have been waiting for. He wants the big, fat creatures, and he himself is removal. Now, there is one obvious inkling that I have not put in the deck, and that is obviously Craterhoof Behemoth, a beast that would definitely enjoy having its cost reduced by 2 generic mana, but it just doesn't feel quite right. I'm here for the time of playing a beast, fighting a thing, swinging. Wash, rinse, repeat. And honestly, I just cannot wait for my Baloth tokens to chew through a white weenie deck's blockers and leave them wide open. It's going to be so therapeutic. And that will be the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. What beast cards are you most excited for? Let us know in the comments below. We read every single one. As always, all Affinity for Commander content is made possible thanks to support of our amazing patrons. You guys are truly awesome. If you'd like to support the channel as well and get access to exclusive EDH related rewards, then be sure to check out our link in the video description box below. You can also support the channel through the quick and easy way of liking this video, subscribing, sharing it on social media, or commenting below. But as always guys, I've been Alex, and I'll see you next time.